Oh, hi. I'm glad you came. I was just thinking about this pattern that I'm making right here. Come check it out. This weaving pattern on my loom here is really neat. It's called an overshot pattern, and you can see this kind of checkerboard of yellow. You use two colors to make it at the same time. And what I've got here is a base piece of fabric that I'm weaving at the same time as I'm weaving the pattern of this checkers um, by lifting up and going over bundles of threads, sections. And that's because this loom has harnesses, and you can see the opening that it makes between. And then I just take this one and send it across. And then after that, I separate every other thread and I do the foundation, and that holds it all together. But since I can't send looms like this to everybody, I was thinking I should show you how to weave this same pattern on this loom, the frame loom that I can send out. Let's take it upstairs and I'll show you how to do it on your own. For this project, we'll need to mark up the loom a little bit, which is pretty fun. I'm going to find the halfway mark there. Since this is a 6-inch frame loom, I'm marking the notch there at 3 inches. Make a little bit bigger mark and then go over and make smaller marks at every 4th notch in the top of the loom. That gives me a space that I can use to make the measurement of the width of the squares that will be in the checkerboard we'll be weaving today. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And don't worry if it's not exactly at the center, if it doesn't work exactly out, just get those marks on there. Next is time to get the string onto the loom. I've got this nice thinner white colored string that I'm going to use. First I'll just put a knot in the end, and then catch that knot in one of the notches right on one of my marks. I didn't mark the top and the bottom, but you can do so if you choose. And then just wrap the string around the teeth that come out between those notches. Make sure you're treating the teeth as though they were pegs coming out of a frame. Don't just go round and round. Go up and down. Okay, I'll speed it up a little bit. This could be pretty boring. I mean, a little dull to watch, as what I mean. It's not boring to do. It's I don't want to make you watch the whole thing at normal speed. You can watch yourself doing it at normal speed, but this is just to give you the idea. The up, down, mm-hmm, do 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 do, up and down, do 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 do. And when you get to the end, which is like an even amount of those red points, then just cut the string. And you don't have to do it one-handed. You can set it down on the table and tie it with 2 hands, but just tie it to get the end of the string stable down there until you have it filled up. And what have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Now I'm going to start with my weft. I've got weft of a lavender and an orange yarn, which I'm going to tie the orange onto one of my needles and the lavender onto the other one. Not in that order, but as I'm doing the orange, I noticed that it's actually a little bit thinner. I wanted to use the orange for my pattern. I want that orange to be actually a thicker yarn. So what I'm going to do is put it through the needle and then double it. I'm going to use my yarn doubled. I do that a lot when I want it to be a thicker. Then I'll start with the lavender, which we'll call that the tabby weft. And I just go over and under, alternating every other yarn as we've grown accustomed to weaving. And then on the way back, I'll go under the ones I went over and over the ones that I went under. And I'd have you do that too if you're going to make this plain weave backing of tabby for your overshot in orange. Using the fork, you can push down the tabby there, maybe make one more shot over and under across. Once we've got a little base of that lavender, it's going to be time to pull out the orange yarn on its needle. Use the comb again to push down those previous wefts. And I'm going to use the red marks there to figure out where 4, 4, and 4 in sections goes across, and I'm going to pull it across like that. So instead of going over 1 and under 1, I'm going over 4 and under 4. Now with the lavender, I'm going to go back, picking up that same over and under. The lavender will always do plain weave over and under every alternating thread. The orange will always do overshot going over and under 4 threads. I pull this tight, use my little fork to pull it down. Sometimes I just go through with the next color. Measure where's the red marks, up, down, up. After a while I start doing it measured off of where it is on the previous shot of orange. But you can see even maybe when I do the next shot of lavender, I can push it down and you can see the orange start to make a little pattern build up, even just after 2 shots. Now I'm catching the edge sometimes so that it goes and has a little space to make it go across that edge square, but you'll figure out the way that works best for you. Then when you feel like you have a big enough square built, go in where you went out and under where you went over, just like you do with the alternating singles. It'll all become clear, I think, as I push down the first one and go the next one of lavender. And you can see that the orange now has gone over where it went under and under when it went over, which is the central principle of weaving. And as that next layer builds up, we'll get to see the square of the next checker of the checkerboard. There it comes. The lavender goes across. And if you want the background of the checkerboard to change colors, you just change what color you're doing that with. And if you want the checkers to change colors, just change what color's in that needle. As it builds up, you'll end up with something that looks like this, and then you can take it all the way. Hey, looks like the opposite on the back. Thanks for watching. Hope you have fun weaving.